Every Spider-Man Ever presents Amazing Spider-Man issue 42. It's not an imposter, and this isn't some dream. This story starts with Spider-Man, the very real Spider-Man, robbing a bank. There can be no denying it. He swings away with a bag of money, arrives at a bridge, and tosses that very bag into the river. J. Jonah Jameson was right. Spider-Man is a menace. But where is Jonah while all of this is going down? He's with his son John at the airport. They're about to say goodbye to one another when John Jameson is overcome by a fever and soon finds himself with super strength and growing out of his normal human-sized clothes. When he's checked out by NASA scientists, they explain that the spores that infected him in space have given him superhuman powers. He's now super strong and can leap great distances, as if he was on the moon. This must have been why the Rhino tried to kidnap him in the previous issue, but overusing these powers will put too much of a strain on his body. They have Tony Stark build him a special suit that will weigh him down and regulate his heartbeat, keeping him safe from overexertion. Then they congratulate Jonah on being the father of a brand new superhero. A superhero, Jonah thinks. After he's spent his whole career disparaging superheroes, how can he support his son and also keep on hating Spider-Man? But he gets a phone call from Frederick Froswell telling him about Spidey's robbery, and Jonah hatches a plan. His son, this brand new superhero, can capture Spider-Man and bring him to justice, and so that's exactly where John goes. Meanwhile and elsewhere, the Rhino is unconscious and being studied. It seems that his thick skin is no suit and is impossible to remove. When he awakens and wreaks havoc, his captors are forced to use a tranquilizer gas on him. They're not sure how they'll hold him in the long term, but he'll be standing trial soon with Foggy Nelson as his defense lawyer. Elsewhere once more, and Peter Parker accepts a party invitation from Gwen Stacy before quickly rejecting it when he realizes that he's already promised his Aunt May that he'd come for dinner on Sunday and meet the fabled Mary Jane Watson. Ugh, he thinks. He'd much rather meet the Hulk, and he'd probably be better looking too. As he's swinging around upset, he comes across John Jameson on a rooftop, looking to take Spidey down. Spider-Man webs him up, hoping to explain that he didn't really rob the bank, but just as he tries, John Jameson breaks free. Then Spidey tries knocking him down long enough to explain, but his fist feels like it's hitting iron, and even a webbed sack of bricks does nothing to stop Jameson. And so, Spidey is forced to flee after webbing up John's face and slamming him to the ground, and he just has to think about what he would have explained to John Jameson. That he'd heard a money bag ticking while he was in a bank, and that he knew it was a bomb, and that the only way to stop it was to steal it and throw it off of the nearest bridge. Thinking about his crime leads him to J. Jonah Jameson's office, and there he explains to Jonah that he didn't steal anything important, that he should call his son off, and that the bank can confirm that they counted the money and that no actual money was stolen. And even though Jonah wants to blame Spider-Man, even though he shouldn't just do what Spider-Man has asked him to do, Jonah does call the bank because he's a good journalist, and he does confirm that Spider-Man didn't steal anything. And so, when John arrives in his office, fuming, Jonah is able to tell his son about Spider-Man's innocence. But John is mad now, both in the angry sense and in the his powers are making him irrational sense, and he storms after Spider-Man anyway, to show Spider-Man that John is the best superhero in town. And when the two find each other once again outside a power station, John pulls the weights off his shoes so that he can leap after Spider-Man at full strength. But Spidey has a plan, and he lures John onto the rooftop and allows John to grab him next to a skylight. By simply shifting his weight, Spider-Man sends them both falling into the station's interior. Then he's able to taunt and knock John straight into an electrical current. The shock kills whatever was in John's system, shrinking him down to human size once more, and Spidey flees once a medical team turns up, and Jonah starts ranting that this was all Spider-Man's fault that his son went crazy. The next day, Peter is looking forward to a relaxing Sunday. He even thinks about calling up Gwen when he's brought down to Earth by May, reminding him about that dinner with the Watsons. And so he gets dressed and heads over, daydreaming about Gwen while they wait for Mary Jane to arrive. When the doorbell finally sounds, Peter reluctantly gets up to answer and is greeted by one of the most gorgeous women he has ever met, who delivers one of the most iconic lines in comic book history. "Face it, Tiger, you just hit the jackpot." Thanks for watching, and while you decide what to watch next, here's a fun fact about this issue. While this issue is known as the first full appearance of Mary Jane Watson, it's also the full first appearance of Gwen Stacy's headband that she famously wears in all depictions of her going forward.